Stop everything for one sacred moment. Do not move past this. Do not treat this as another message in your feed. Something unusual is happening around your life, and heaven allowed these words to reach you because your spirit has been sensing what your eyes still cannot explain. You have felt it. A pressure has been sitting around your chest. A silence has been hovering over your prayers. You wake up with the strange feeling that something is close, but when you look around, nothing has changed yet. That is why this message found you today. God is doing the impossible. Not the small kind of impossible. Not the kind people explain later with timing, luck, or human effort. I am talking about the kind of impossible that makes people stop speaking for a moment because they know no human hand could have opened that door. And this time, the mystery is deeper. God is not only doing something rare, God is doing something he has never done in this way before. Heaven is breaking a pattern. A record is being opened. A line is being crossed. And chosen one, you are connected to the reason. That sentence may shake something in you. Let it shake. You have spent too many seasons thinking your life was too delayed to matter. You have watched other people receive answers faster than you, while your own prayers seem to return to you with no sound. But heaven was not ignoring you. There is a reason your path has been different. There is a reason the door did not open when you begged for it. There is a reason the wrong people could not stay. And there is a reason the enemy fought you harder when you were already tired. Your life was carrying something unusual. You thought you were waiting for a miracle. But the truth is deeper. The miracle was waiting for the version of you that could survive receiving it. That is why the delay felt so personal, because God was not only preparing the blessing, God was preparing the vessel. Stay with me. The next few moments are not casual. Your spirit already knows that something has shifted. You may not have language for it yet, but you have felt a quiet alarm inside you. It is not panic. It is recognition. Something impossible has started moving toward your name. You have seen small signs. Maybe the same number keeps appearing. Maybe the same phrase returns again and again. Maybe a person from your past entered your thoughts without warning. Maybe you keep waking before daylight with no clear reason, as if your spirit is listening for footsteps. And when you wake, it is not normal waking. Your body may be still, but something inside you feels alert. You lie there in the dark, staring at nothing, while your mind circles the same question again. Why do I feel like something is about to happen? You tried to dismiss it. You told yourself you were overthinking. You blamed stress, exhaustion, or the strange weight of recent days. But deep down, chosen one, you knew this was different. This was not ordinary anxiety. This was your spirit detecting movement in the unseen realm. There has been a heaviness around you that sleep did not remove. You rested, but you did not feel restored. You smiled, but something inside stayed quiet. You answered messages, handled tasks, and showed up for people, but your soul felt like it was standing at the edge of a closed gate. That gate is part of the message. You were not standing there because God forgot the key. You were standing there because the thing behind it was not ready to be opened by an old version of your identity. Heaven was waiting for you to stop begging like an orphan. You are not an orphan in the spirit. You are not a mistake, looking for permission to exist. You are not a rejected one, watching everyone else pass by. You are chosen. And that word is not decoration. It is a responsibility, a covering, and a sign that your life carries weight. This is why the battle became strange. It did not attack only your money. It attacked your clarity. It did not attack only your relationships. It attacked your ability to trust what God had already shown you. It did not attack only your energy. It attacked your agreement. The enemy knows something about agreement. If it can make you agree with delay, you stop expecting fulfillment. If it can make you agree with rejection, you stop preparing for favor. If it can make you agree with smallness, you shrink before the door even opens. But you did not fully agree. That is the part heaven saw. You were tired, but you did not fully surrender your promise. You cried, but you still whispered one more prayer. You felt overlooked, but somewhere inside you, a small flame refused to die. That flame matters more than you think. Heaven does not measure you by how loudly you worship when life feels easy. Heaven watches what remains in you when nothing makes sense. It watches the quiet obedience. It watches the private restraint. It watches what you refuse to become. You had opportunities to become bitter. You had reasons to become cold. You had moments when you could have used your pain as permission to wound others. But something in you stopped. You may not have felt holy in that moment, but heaven recorded your restraint. This is one of the reasons God is doing the impossible. You did not become what tried to break you. You were struck, but you did not become cruel. You were misunderstood, but you did not sell your soul for applause. You were delayed, but you did not curse the promise. Listen carefully. What God is preparing is not a reward for perfect behavior. It is a response to hidden faith. It is a response to the part of you that stayed soft when life gave you every reason to become stone. That softness is not weakness, it is evidence. You have been carrying evidence. Every night you fell asleep with questions and still woke up willing to continue. Evidence. Every time you forgave without receiving an apology. Evidence. Every time you stayed silent when you could have defended yourself. Evidence. Heaven has been building a case, and now the case is speaking. This is why the atmosphere around you has felt charged. This is why small things feel louder. This is why you sense a pressure before a breakthrough. Something has been decided in heaven, but your natural world is still catching up. Do not confuse the delay in the visible realm with denial in the spiritual realm. Many things are already settled before they are seen. A seed is alive before it breaks soil. A child is formed before the world hears a cry. A door can be unlocked before it swings open. Your spirit knows this. That is why you have not been able to feel normal lately. Normal conversations feel thin. Normal distractions do not satisfy you. Normal routines feel too small. It is not because you are becoming ungrateful. It is because your inner world is outgrowing an old season. You are being pulled out of noise. You are being lifted above confusion. You are being trained to hear without needing a crowd to confirm what God already whispered. This is why certain people cannot reach you the way they used to. Your access is changing, but the version rising now is different. This version pauses before reacting. This version notices patterns. This version no longer begs to be chosen by people who never honored the weight of your calling. This version understands that peace is also a weapon. The impossible begins there. It begins when you stop needing the old systems to approve you. It begins when you stop asking broken people to validate a holy assignment. It begins when your spirit says, even if no one sees me, God knows exactly where I am. And God does know. He knows the private tears. He knows the conversations you replayed in silence. He knows the nights you wondered whether you missed your chance. He knows the shame you never said out loud. He knows the hope you tried to bury because it hurt too much to keep alive. That hope is not dead. It has been hidden. There is a difference. Dead things rot. Hidden things mature. Dead things lose purpose. Hidden things gain depth. You were not buried because your story ended. You were planted because something impossible needed roots deep enough to survive attention. This is why you could not be rushed. If God had opened the door earlier, the wrong voices would have followed you through it. If God had answered the prayer sooner, you might have given credit to people who did not carry the cost. Timing protected the miracle from contamination. You may not like that word, protected, because from your side, it felt like loss. It felt like rejection. It felt like another closed door in a life full of closed doors. But heaven was not closing you out. Heaven was closing corruption out before your name entered the room. Think about the relationships that ended. Think about the plans that collapsed. Think about the invitation that never came. At the time, it hurt. It confused you. It made you question your worth. But now, something in you is beginning to see that removal was mercy. Chosen one, your loneliness has been speaking. It has been saying, something is being cleared. Your exhaustion has been speaking. It has been saying, something old is leaving. Your restlessness has been speaking. It has been saying, you cannot settle here because here is not your final place. There is a version of you that heaven has been waiting to reveal. Not a fake version, not a loud version, not a version built for performance, a clear version, a steady version, a version that can receive the impossible without turning it into pride. This is important. God can bless a person quickly, but he forms a vessel slowly. He can open a door in one moment, but he may take years to teach a heart how to walk through it without bowing to fear, applause, or old insecurity. You have been in vessel training. That is why so much of your life felt hidden. That is why you were corrected in private. That is why you kept facing the same inner test through different people. God was not repeating pain for entertainment. He was revealing patterns. Another pattern was delay agreement. After enough waiting, you began expecting disappointment. You stopped saying it out loud, but your body began preparing for another no. You smiled while expecting rejection. You prayed while bracing for silence. That agreement is being broken now. God is not only changing your situation, he is changing the expectation inside your nervous system. He is teaching your spirit to stop flinching every time a door begins to open. He is teaching you that favor does not have to feel suspicious. This is part of the impossible. Some people only think of miracles as money, healing, vindication, or sudden rescue. Those things can happen. But one of the greatest miracles is when a wounded person finally stops expecting the wound to be the author of every future chapter. You are not your wound. You are not your delay. You are not the betrayal. You are not the empty room. You are not the unanswered message. You are not the season where no one clapped. You are the one God preserved after all of it. Preserved people carry a different sound. They do not need to scream to be heard. They do not need to prove to be powerful. They do not need to chase what God already assigned. Their presence begins to shift rooms because their spirit has been refined by fire. You may not feel refined. You may feel tired. You may feel like you barely survived. But survival under pressure is not small. You kept breathing in a season designed to bury you. You kept believing when evidence seemed thin. You kept returning to God with a bruised heart. Heaven calls that faith, not the polished kind, not the kind performed for people, the kind that crawls through darkness and still reaches for the hem of truth, the kind that whispers, I do not understand this, but I will not let go of God. That kind of faith gets the attention of heaven. It may not impress crowds because crowds love visible results, but heaven recognizes hidden endurance. Heaven knows the cost of every private yes. Heaven knows what it took for you not to quit when quitting looked reasonable. Now something is turning, not because you forced it, not because you manipulated timing, not because you finally became perfect. Something is turning because the appointed weight of your obedience has reached a tipping point. The bowls are full. The record is speaking. This is why you feel pressure. It is not always attack. Sometimes pressure is the sound of a closed season breaking apart. Sometimes restlessness is not rebellion. It is your spirit hearing movement before your calendar confirms it. It is your inner man sensing transition. You are not behind. Hear that again. You are not behind. The enemy wanted you measuring your life against people who were never carrying your assignment. Their timeline cannot explain your process. Their open door cannot define your delay. Their harvest cannot measure your seed. Your seed had to go deeper. Your roots had to hold under storms other people never saw. Your heart had to learn discernment before access. Your mind had to be freed from the voices that trained you to expect crumbs. This was not wasted time. But before it arrives fully, there is something you must understand. This message is not only here to comfort you. Comfort is part of it. But comfort alone would be too small. This message is here to wake up the part of you that stopped expecting God to shock you. Yes, shock you. There are answers that restore. There are answers that relieve. And then there are answers that shock the people who assumed your story had already been defined. God is not preparing a quiet little adjustment. He is preparing a holy interruption. Do not try to control the form. That is where many chosen ones stumble. They feel the shift, then demand that it arrive through the door they already understand. But God is doing the impossible. And impossible things rarely arrive dressed in familiar clothing. This is why you must stay open, stay alert, stay humble, stay clean. Do not let bitterness speak for you in the final stretch. Do not let exhaustion make permanent decisions. Do not let the silence of people convince you that heaven is silent too. Heaven has not been silent. Heaven has been strategic. There were things God could not tell you early because fear would have made you run from your own future. There were doors He could not show you because you would have tried to open them with old strength. Now listen closely. The thing God is doing has a strange signature. It will not only bless you, it will explain you. It will make sense of the warfare. It will make sense of the delay. It will make sense of why your life felt harder than it should have been. Some miracles answer a prayer. This one answers a history. Some breakthroughs change a month. This one changes a pattern. Some doors open for convenience. This one opens as evidence that God was present in every season you thought had no purpose. That is why the text on your spirit has been so strong. God has never done this in history until you. Not because you are better than everyone, not because you are above correction, not because you earned glory, but because your assignment required a new demonstration. You are a demonstration. That word may feel heavy, but it is true. Your life is becoming a visible argument against the lie that delay means denial. Your restoration is becoming proof that God can preserve what pressure tried to ruin. Your rising is becoming a message. The message is not only for you. Someone in your family needs to see it. Someone who doubted prayer needs to see it. Someone who watched you suffer needs to see it. Someone who thought your silence meant defeat needs to see that God was working behind the veil. And chosen one, this is why the enemy tried to make you quit quietly. It did not need everyone to see you fall. It only needed you to stop agreeing with the promise. It only needed you to stop preparing. It only needed you to call survival enough. But survival is not the finish line. Survival was the crossing point. You survived so you could witness what comes after survival. You survived so you could carry authority without arrogance. You survived so you could stand in the answer and know exactly who brought you there. This is why your heart has been tender lately. Tears come faster. Memories rise without warning. Old moments replay, not to torment you, but to show you what God carried you through. Heaven is letting you review the evidence before it reveals the verdict. The verdict is not shame. The verdict is not rejection. The verdict is not too late. The verdict is not you missed it. The verdict is preparation complete for the next measure. The verdict is heaven has seen enough to move in a way people cannot deny. You may feel a trembling while hearing this. That trembling is not weakness. Sometimes the spirit trembles when truth touches a buried place. Sometimes the body reacts before the mind understands. Let it happen. You are not losing control. You are recognizing a divine announcement. Something impossible is closer than your fear wants you to believe. Something has already started in rooms you have not entered. A conversation is turning. A decision is shifting. A heart is softening. A door is unlocking. A delay is losing its authority over your name. You do not need to force it. You need to be positioned. Positioning is different from striving. Striving says, I must make it happen. Positioning says, I will be ready when God makes it happen. Striving drains you. Positioning steadies you. So take a breath. Let your shoulders drop. Let the old panic loosen its grip. You are not being asked to figure out every detail in this moment. You are being asked to recognize that the season has changed even before the scenery changes. That recognition matters. Many people miss God because they wait for external proof before they adjust internally. but chosen ones must often move by recognition first. The spirit knows before the eye sees. The deep place knows before the calendar confirms. Faith responds before the crowd understands. This is your call to respond, not with noise, not with fear, not with a frantic plan. Respond with awareness. Respond with clean obedience. Respond with the refusal to shrink back into the identity that survived the wilderness but was never meant to live there forever. You are leaving something. You may not know the full shape yet, but your spirit knows. You are leaving an old expectation. You are leaving the agreement with disappointment. You are leaving the version of yourself that thought being tolerated was the same as being loved. You are also entering something. You are entering a holy correction of history. You are entering a season where God answers more than one prayer at a time. You are entering a divine sequence where one door opens, then another door recognizes the sound and opens too. This is why you must keep listening. The first part of this message has only named what you have been feeling, but the next part will reveal why heaven is breaking precedent, why your delay had to be so exact, and what you did in secret that God refused to ignore. Because there is something you did. You may not even think it was important. You may think it was just survival, just silence, just choosing not to retaliate, just waking up again, just praying one more time. But heaven saw it differently. Heaven saw a witness. Heaven saw a vessel. Heaven saw someone who could be trusted with a strange kind of blessing. Heaven saw someone who did not become poisonous after being mishandled. Heaven saw someone who still had light after walking through rooms designed to dim it. That is the part you need to understand next. God is not breaking history because you allowed. He is not moving because you impressed people. He is not doing the impossible because you performed strength perfectly. He is moving because something in you remained faithful when no one was watching. So do not leave this message at the surface. Do not reduce it to encouragement. This is a summons. This is a divine interruption. This is heaven placing language around the pressure you have been carrying. And in the next part, the hidden reason begins to open. The question is not only what God is about to do. The deeper question is why. He waited until now. Why this hour? Why your name? Why your life? Why the impossible? And why did heaven decide that the old pattern could not be used this time? Stay with this. The answer is going to reach the part of you that almost gave up waiting. Chosen one, the answer begins here. God did not wait because he forgot you. He did not delay because your prayer was too small. He did not stay silent because heaven was empty. The waiting had a purpose, and the purpose was larger than the version of you that first asked for the door to open. You asked for relief, but God was preparing authority. You asked for a way out, but God was preparing a way through. You asked for the pain to end quickly, while heaven was building something in you that could not be formed in comfort. This is why the timing felt strange. There is also something I need to touch gently now. Not as a distraction, not as a sales moment. Some chosen ones are not lacking faith at all. Their clarity has simply been buried under years of pressure, noise, disappointment, and spiritual exhaustion that made the inner voice harder to hear. Later, I will share more about a simple 7-minute audio called The Genius Song. It was created around brain entrainment and gamma activation, the state often connected with focus, intuition, and flow. For now, just keep listening, because this matters only after you understand what the delay was doing. The delay was not empty. It was not random. It was not heaven ignoring your name. It was the furnace where the old agreement inside you began to break. You had agreed with disappointment for so long that even when God whispered promise, your body prepared for another loss. That is why heaven could not rush the impossible. If the blessing had arrived while you still expected rejection, you might have received it like a frightened servant instead of a chosen vessel. God was not only preparing what would come to you, he was preparing who would stand inside it. This is the part many people miss. They think the impossible is only about a door opening. They think it is about a sudden answer, a public victory, a payment, a phone call, a reunion, or a visible sign. But the impossible also happens inside your identity. When God breaks precedent, He does not only change a circumstance, He changes the person who will carry the evidence. He removes the old posture. He removes the begging spirit. He removes the fear that makes you sabotage good things because they feel too unfamiliar to trust. That is why this season felt like correction and protection at the same time. One moment you felt hidden, the next moment you felt stripped. One moment you felt guarded, the next moment you felt alone. But heaven was doing a deeper work than your feelings could measure. You were not being punished. You were being separated. You were not being rejected. You were being refined. You were not being denied. You were being made steady enough to receive what would have overwhelmed an earlier version of you. That is why the process looked confusing. Think about what left your life. Think about the people who stopped calling. Think about the doors that closed without explanation. Think about the plans that broke right when you were counting on them. At first it looked like loss, but now heaven is asking you to see mercy. So God allowed separation, not because He wanted to hurt you, but because He had to protect the impossible from being handled by people who only knew how to use your old pain. The door ahead required a cleaner circle, a clearer mind, and a quieter spirit. You may have called it loneliness, heaven called it clearance. You may have called it abandonment, heaven called it protection. You may have called it being forgotten, heaven called it hidden placement. You were not lost in the wilderness. You were being placed where noise could not rename you. This is why the old comforts stopped working. The old distractions felt dry. The old conversations felt heavy. The old places felt smaller than before. It was not because you became difficult. It was because your spirit could no longer breathe inside spaces built for your former agreement. Do not be afraid of that. You are not becoming cold. You are becoming clear. You are not becoming distant. You are becoming delivered from false access. You are not losing your heart. You are learning that love without discernment can become a doorway for destruction. The impossible God is doing requires discernment. It requires you to recognize what is from Him and what only looks spiritual. It requires you to stop mistaking pressure for assignment. It requires you to stop calling every familiar voice safe just because it knows your past. That is why the battle attacked your clarity. It was never only about making you tired. Tired people can still obey. It was about making you confused, because confused people delay themselves. Confused people return to cages. Confused people ask chains for directions. But you are not staying confused. Heaven is lifting the fog. Slowly, quietly, and deeply, you are beginning to see what you could not see before. You are seeing who drained you. You are seeing what distracted you. You are seeing where fear wore the mask of wisdom. That touch was painful. It felt like exposure. It felt like everything was being taken. But God was not taking your future. He was taking the agreements that would have destroyed your future after it arrived. Sometimes, mercy feels like loss before wisdom gives it a name. You need to understand this clearly. God is not doing the impossible because you are flawless. He is doing it because He has found something in you that still turns toward Him after pressure. He has found a yes that survived disappointment. He has found faith underneath fatigue. That hidden yes is powerful. It is the yes you whispered when no one encouraged you. It is the yes you carried when your own mind argued against hope. It is the yes that stayed when evidence looked thin and the enemy kept asking why you still believed. That is what heaven is responding to. Not your performance, not your public image, not the version of you that smiles when people ask if you are okay. Heaven is responding to the private witness inside you, the one that refused to let bitterness become your language. This is why the impossible is not arriving like a prize for effort. It is arriving like a verdict over hidden obedience. Heaven is saying that your tears were not wasted. Your restraint was not ignored. Your silence was not weakness. Your waiting was not meaningless. Now let me reframe the word impossible. Impossible does not mean God has no path. Impossible means human systems have no path. It means the ordinary pattern cannot carry the answer. It means people can no longer explain the outcome with logic, favors, skill, or coincidence. God loves moments where human boasting runs out. He loves Red Seas because no bridge can take credit. He loves empty wombs because time cannot take credit. He loves sealed tombs because medicine cannot take credit. He loves closed doors because manipulation cannot take credit. Your situation has reached that kind of space, not because God is cruel, but because He is making authorship undeniable. If the door had opened by normal means, you might have wondered whether you forced it. But when this opens, you will know God stepped in. That is why you must stop grieving the loss of normal methods. The normal method was never strong enough for this assignment. The usual path could not carry the weight of your calling. The common route could not protect the level of evidence God intends to place on your life. You are not being taken through the common route. You are being taken through a route that may not make sense until you are standing on the other side. That is often how heaven moves with chosen vessels. First, the path looks hidden. Then the purpose becomes undeniable. Do not demand that God use the pattern He used for someone else. Their door is not your door. Their testimony is not your map. Their timeline is not your measurement. God is not copying another story for you. He is writing something that carries your exact assignment. But preparation has been working. It worked when you felt nothing. It worked when you could not explain the quiet. It worked when everyone else seemed to move ahead. Deep roots do not announce themselves every morning, but when storms come, they reveal what was growing in silence. You have deep roots now. You may not see all the fruit yet, but you are not who you were when this waiting began. Your reactions have changed. Your discernment has sharpened. Your tolerance for false peace has decreased. Your hunger for truth has become stronger. That is evidence of movement. Do not ignore internal movement just because external proof is still forming. Heaven often changes the vessel before changing the view. It changes appetite before address. It changes hearing before assignment. It changes agreement before arrival. Your agreement is shifting now. You are beginning to agree with worthiness again. You are beginning to agree that God can still surprise you. You are beginning to agree that your story is not too late. You are beginning to agree that the impossible can know your name. This is dangerous to darkness. A chosen one who agrees with disappointment is easy to contain. But a chosen one who agrees with heaven becomes a problem in the spirit. They stop begging chains to release them. They begin walking like doors have already heard the command. So the attack came through fatigue. It came through memories. It came through people who knew exactly which wound to press. It came through practical pressure, emotional confusion, and spiritual heaviness. The goal was simple: make you too tired to believe the next instruction. But heaven kept you. Even when you felt weak, you were being held. Even when you had no words, your tears were speaking. Even when your prayer sounded small, God understood the language underneath it. He was not counting your volume. He was reading your surrender. This is why you are still here. Not by accident, not by personality, not because you are naturally strong. You are still here because grace kept reaching under the weight and lifting what you could not lift alone. That grace is part of the impossible too. Now you must stop calling yourself weak because you needed grace. Grace is not proof that you failed. Grace is proof that heaven invested in your continuation. If God had no intention for your future, the enemy would not have worked so hard to break your ability to expect it. Expectation is returning. You may feel it quietly. A small spark. A strange readiness. A sense that you cannot keep apologizing for wanting more. A feeling that the old ceiling is cracking. That is not pride. That is your spirit, remembering the promise. The impossible God is doing will touch more than one area. It will not be one narrow answer. It will carry a chain reaction. A shift in clarity will affect decisions. A shift in decisions will affect relationships. A shift in relationships will affect territory. That pattern is breaking. God is not only giving, He is healing your ability to receive. This is a miracle inside the miracle, because if you cannot receive without fear, even blessing becomes another battleground. Heaven is bringing peace to the place where fear once guarded the gate. You are allowed to receive. You are allowed to be surprised by goodness. You are allowed to stop rehearsing loss. You are allowed to be loved without earning it through exhaustion. You are allowed to walk into favor without apologizing for being chosen. Alignment is what heaven was building in the waiting. You wanted movement, but God wanted alignment first. Movement without alignment becomes chaos. A fast door with a fractured spirit can create more damage than delay ever did. So God slowed the pace to heal the posture. This is why the old pattern cannot be used. The old pattern required striving. The new pattern requires surrender. The old pattern required people-pleasing. The new pattern requires obedience. The old pattern required fear of loss. The new pattern requires trust in divine timing. And chosen one, divine timing is not late. It is exact. It may offend your impatience. It may confuse your calendar. It may silence your need for control. But when divine timing lands, it does not only answer the question, it reveals why every earlier moment could not carry it. You are near that kind of landing. This is not said to excite your emotions for a moment. It is said to prepare your spirit. Something impossible requires a prepared receiver. If you stay in old fear, you may misread the very answer you prayed for. So begin now. Release the accusation that God abandoned you. Release the story that your delay means you are defective. Release the secret belief that other people are chosen for joy, while you are chosen only for warfare. That lie has stolen enough from your heart. You are chosen for warfare, but not only warfare. You are chosen for intimacy. You are chosen for restoration. You are chosen for peace. You are chosen for evidence. You are chosen to watch God do what human systems said could not be done. This is why access is being corrected. Do not fight that correction. Do not reopen doors that heaven closed. Do not let nostalgia confuse discernment. Some memories feel warm only because distance softened the danger. Ask God for clear eyes, not emotional hunger. Clear eyes will matter in the next season. The impossible may come through an unexpected message. It may come through a conversation you did not plan. It may come through a closed door reopening with different terms. It may come through a new direction that looks small at first. Do not despise small beginnings. Many divine reversals arrive quietly before they become undeniable. A whisper can carry a command. A small instruction can unlock a large room. A simple act of obedience can shift a whole bloodline when God has placed weight on it. That is why you must become attentive again, not anxious. Attentive. Anxiety scans for danger. Discernment listens for God. Anxiety assumes loss is coming. Discernment asks what heaven is saying. Anxiety exhausts the body. Discernment steadies the spirit. This season requires discernment, because not everything loud is divine. Not everything urgent is assignment. Not every open door is God. Not every apology is repentance. Not every opportunity is alignment. The impossible will come with clarity, but counterfeits often come with pressure. You are being trained for that difference now. This is why your inner world has become so sensitive. You notice tones, you notice shifts. You notice when words and spirit do not match. You are not being too sensitive. Your discernment is waking up after years of being ignored. Do not silence it again. Do not let people call your clarity suspicion. Do not let old guilt force you to override the warning inside you. You are allowed to pause. You are allowed to pray. You are allowed to say, God, show me the spirit behind this. That is the reframe. Your blessing is not performance material. Your breakthrough is not revenge content. Your new season is not a stage for proving people wrong. It is holy evidence that God can trust a wounded vessel who allowed healing to go deeper than bitterness. There is freedom in that. You do not have to carry the pressure of being the miracle maker. God is the maker. You are the receiver, the steward, and the testimony. Your responsibility is not control. Your responsibility is agreement, obedience, and clean hands. The old agreement is breaking now, the agreement with being overlooked, the agreement with delayed joy, the agreement with spiritual exhaustion, the agreement with being strong for everyone while secretly starving inside. God is not asking you to carry that identity into the impossible. There is a new agreement forming. I am seen, I am guided, I am prepared, I am not late, I am not abandoned, I am not too damaged to receive, I am not too tired for God to restore. I am not outside the reach of the impossible. Let those words settle, not as decoration, as inner alignment. Your spirit needs language for what heaven is doing. Without language, pressure feels like punishment. With language, pressure becomes transition. Without language, silence feels like absence. With language, silence becomes strategy. Now you have language. You are not delayed because God changed his mind. You are delayed because the old form could not hold the new glory. You are not alone because you failed relationship. You are separated because access is being purified before the door opens. This is why heaven is breaking precedent. The answer coming to you is not only about making your life easier, it is about making your life undeniable. It is about proving that what was buried can rise. It is about proving that God can do something new through a person others misread. They misread you because they saw the process without seeing the promise. They saw the tears without seeing the oil. They saw the silence without seeing the restraint. They saw the delay without seeing the divine construction under the surface. But God saw all of it. He saw when you wanted to answer harshly and chose silence. He saw when you wanted to give up and chose one more prayer. He saw when you wanted to harden but chose to stay tender. He saw when you kept showing up with almost nothing left. Those choices were not small. They were covenant moments. They were invisible turning points. They were the places where your spirit told heaven, I still belong to you, even here. And heaven does not ignore that kind of witness. That is why the impossible is not random. It is answering something. It is answering your obedience. It is answering your restraint. It is answering your hidden tears. It is answering the version of you that kept choosing light when darkness offered a faster language. The old pattern cannot answer that. A normal blessing would be too small. A normal open door would not explain the cost. A normal solution would not silence the lie that your suffering had no meaning. So God is doing something that carries enough weight to answer the history. Do you see it now? He waited, because the answer had to be larger than the wound. He waited, because the restoration had to outrank the loss. He waited because the testimony had to carry enough authority to reach places your words could not enter before. This is why you could not quit. This is why you kept feeling pulled back to prayer. This is why, even after disappointment, you could not fully surrender to cynicism. Heaven had placed a future inside you that your pain could not completely erase. Now the future is pressing back. That is the pressure you feel. It is not only the past trying to haunt you, it is the future trying to wake you. It is the promise knocking from the other side of your fear, saying, do not build a home in survival. Chosen one, do not build a home in survival. Survival was holy for a season, but it is not the throne. Survival got you through the night, but it cannot define the morning. The morning requires a different posture. It requires expectation, trust, and spiritual readiness. You are being called into readiness now, not frantic readiness, not anxious checking, not trying to guess every move of God. Readiness means your heart is uncluttered. Readiness means your yes is available. Readiness means you will not let old pain interpret new movement. This is the bridge into the next part. Because once you understand why heaven is breaking precedent, you need to see the pattern in Scripture. God has always waited until the impossible became undeniable before revealing the servant, the door, and the divine strategy. Moses had a sea, David had a giant, Sarah had a womb past human timing, Lazarus had a stone. Each one looked like the end before it became evidence. And in the next part, you will see why your closed place may be the exact stage God selected. Do not leave before you hear it. The pattern will confirm what your spirit has been sensing. Your impossible is not proof that God left. It may be proof that heaven chose a setting where no one can take credit for what is coming next. Chosen one, now you need to see the pattern. Your life is not random. Your delay is not without meaning. Heaven has always had a way of bringing chosen vessels to impossible places, because impossible places reveal what ordinary seasons cannot reveal. God does not waste impossibility. He uses it. He places his servants where human strength ends, where familiar methods collapse, and where every natural explanation becomes too small. Then he moves in a way that makes the vessel and the witness impossible to separate. This is why your closed place matters. You have been calling it a wall, but heaven may be calling it a stage. You have been calling it pressure, but heaven may be calling it presentation. You have been calling it delay, but heaven may be calling it divine timing. Moses did not meet the greatest revelation of his assignment in comfort. He met it between an army and a sea. There was no backup plan. There was no bridge. There was no secret path waiting behind a stone. The situation was arranged to make human escape impossible. Think about that moment. The people were afraid. The past was chasing them. The future looked blocked. The leader looked cornered. And in that moment, the impossible was not evidence that God had failed. It was evidence that God had selected the exact place for a new demonstration. The sea did not open because Moses understood everything. The sea opened because God had placed authority in him for that moment. Moses had to stretch out what was in his hand before he saw what was hidden in the water. Obedience came before evidence. That is important for you. You keep wanting evidence before obedience. You keep wanting the sea to move before you lift what God placed in your hand. But chosen one, some waters do not respond to fear. They respond to agreement with the command of God. Your sea may not be water. It may be a bill. It may be a diagnosis. It may be silence from someone you expected to help you. It may be a door that has stayed shut so long that you began to think the shut door was your identity. But the principle is the same. The thing blocking you is not always there to stop you. Sometimes it is there to prove that God has placed authority in you that you have not used yet. Sometimes the obstacle is waiting for the command carried by the vessel. Do not mistake the presence of pressure for the absence of God. Israel saw pressure. Moses heard instruction. The crowd saw danger. Heaven saw a pathway. The natural eye saw an ending. The spirit saw a crossing. Your assignment is to stop agreeing only with what fear can see. You are standing near a crossing. That is why everything feels tight. Crossings rarely feel spacious at first. They feel like being pressed between what was and what must become. They feel like the old season chasing you, while the new season refuses to fully open yet. But this is the place where God reveals authority. Not when everyone is comfortable. Not when people already believe in you. Not when the path is obvious. Authority is revealed when something impossible stands in front of you and heaven tells you to move forward anyway. David carried the same law. He did not become David in the palace first. He became David in hidden fields, where no audience clapped and no prophet watched his every ordinary day. He learned courage in private before God revealed him in public. When Goliath stood before Israel, the army saw a giant. David saw an insult against the living God. That difference of sight is the difference between fear and identity. The same problem stood in front of everyone, but only one person saw it from covenant. That is why your sight is being corrected. God is not only changing what stands before you, He is changing how you see what stands before you. A fearful person sees a giant and says, This is the end. A chosen person sees a giant and says, "This is the evidence." David did not need everyone to believe him. His brothers questioned him. Saul underestimated him. The armor did not fit him. The system had no category for him. But heaven had already trained him in a place nobody respected. And that hidden training became public authority. You have hidden training too. People may not know what you survived. They may not know the battles you fought in silence. They may not know the nights you had to encourage yourself because no one else had language for your war. But heaven knows. That hidden training is why the impossible does not disqualify you. It introduces you. The thing that looks too big is often the thing God uses to reveal the weight He placed in you. Goliath looked like a threat to Israel, but he became the announcement of David. What if the thing intimidating you is not your ending? What if it is your announcement? What if the pressure that made others doubt you is the very stage where God reveals that you were never just the overlooked one? You were the prepared one. This is why you cannot keep despising hidden seasons. Hidden does not mean useless. Hidden does not mean forgotten. Hidden does not mean behind. Hidden often means heaven is building a weapon in silence, because the public battle will require private accuracy. David had accuracy before he had a throne. He had a sling before he had a crown. He had courage before he had applause. God did not wait until the palace to form him. God formed him where nobody thought royalty could be found. So when you feel unseen, remember David. When people overlook you, remember David. When your tools look small beside the size of the problem, remember David. Heaven does not need the system to approve the weapon it has already trained in your hand. Sarah carried another kind of impossible. Her impossible was not a sea or a giant. It was time. Her body had moved beyond the natural window. The promise seemed delayed past reason. Every passing year became an argument against what God had spoken. That may feel close to you. Time has been one of your loudest enemies. You have watched birthdays pass, seasons pass, opportunities pass, people move forward, prayers stretch out, and somewhere inside, the question became heavier. Did I wait too long? But Sarah teaches a law of heaven. God is not intimidated by time. Time can close a human window, but it cannot close a divine word. The womb that looked finished became the place where God proved that promise does not depend on the calendar. The delay was painful, but it served a purpose. If Isaac had come quickly, people might have called it normal. If he had come within expected timing, people might have missed the weight of the promise. But when it came after natural hope looked finished, authorship became clear. That is what God is doing in you. He is allowing the old explanations to expire. He is letting certain human categories run out. He is bringing you to a place where when the answer comes, people will know this did not happen by ordinary timing. You are not too late for God. Let that settle deeply. You are not too late for restoration. You are not too late for purpose. You are not too late for joy. You are not too late for the promise that your pain tried to bury. The enemy has used time to accuse you. It told you that you missed the window. It told you younger people had already passed you. It told you your best years were behind you. It told you heaven had moved on. But time is not your master. God is the Lord of the promise. If He spoke it, He knows how to bring it through a closed timeline. If He planted it, He knows how to protect it through winter. If He assigned it, He knows how to resurrect it when natural reasoning says finished. Sarah laughed because the promise sounded too great for the condition. Many chosen ones understand that laugh. It is not always mockery. Sometimes it is wounded disbelief. Sometimes it is a heart protecting itself from another disappointment. Sometimes it is hope shaking under the weight of delay. God was not threatened by the laugh. He answered with fulfillment. That means your trembling faith is not too weak for Him to work with. Your honest questions do not erase your calling. Your tired heart does not cancel what heaven has decided. But you must stop letting old pain interpret new promise. If God says something is coming alive, do not hand the word to your disappointment for analysis. Disappointment will always call resurrection unrealistic. Fear will always call promise dangerous. Delay will always call hope foolish. Your spirit must learn another language. The language of heaven does not deny facts. It outranks them. It can look at age, delay, loss, weakness, and impossibility, then still say, "Is anything too hard for God?" That question is your weapon now. Lazarus reveals the same law from another angle. His sisters sent word while he was sick. They expected urgency. They expected movement. They expected Jesus to come quickly because love was involved. But love did not move on their preferred schedule. This is one of the hardest truths. Divine love does not always look like immediate rescue. Sometimes love waits until every human option has ended, not because it is careless, but because the revelation being prepared is larger than the relief being requested. Mary and Martha wanted healing. Jesus intended resurrection. They wanted him to prevent death. He intended to display authority over it. They wanted the story to stay within the limits of recovery. He intended to break the limits of finality. You may have asked God for healing in an area where he intends resurrection. You may have asked him to fix something before it fell apart, but he allowed it to fall apart because he was going to prove that even the stone could not have the final word. This is why some things were allowed to look dead. The dream looked dead. The relationship looked dead. The opportunity looked dead. The confidence looked dead. The old fire looked dead. You stood at the tomb of a thing you loved and wondered why God did not arrive sooner. But delay did not mean absence. Jesus was still Lord when Lazarus was sick. He was still Lord when Lazarus died. He was still Lord when the stone was sealed. He was still Lord when the mourners gathered. The stage changed, but his authority did not. The same is true in your life. God did not lose authority when your situation got worse. He did not lose authority when people walked away. He did not lose authority when the answer seemed late. He did not lose authority when you stopped knowing what to pray. Sometimes the stone is part of the testimony. It gives people something to remember. It gives witnesses something undeniable. It marks the place where hope seemed sealed. Then, when God calls forth what everyone buried, the sound of resurrection carries more weight. Do not fear the stone. A stone can block people, but it cannot block God. A sealed place can intimidate human hands, but it cannot silence divine command. What looks covered may still be listening for the voice that knows its name. That is why you must not call everything over just because people stopped expecting it. People often move on before heaven speaks. They bury what God intends to call forth. They label things finished because they do not understand the timing of resurrection. Your promise may have been buried by opinions. Your confidence may have been buried by rejection. Your creativity may have been buried by survival. Your discernment may have been buried by noise. But buried is not the same as dead when God has not released the final word. The law is clear. Impossible settings create undeniable testimony. A sea reveals a deliverer. A giant reveals a king. A barren womb reveals promise beyond time. A sealed tomb reveals resurrection power. And your impossible place is about to reveal something hidden in you. That is why heaven brought you to this message. You needed more than encouragement. You needed a pattern. Without a pattern, pain looks random. With a pattern, pain becomes readable. You begin to understand that God has been moving through the same holy logic in different forms. He has always used pressure to reveal vessels. He has always used delay to purify promise. He has always used opposition to display authority. He has always used the impossible to separate divine authorship from human explanation. This is not new to heaven. What is new is the way he is applying it to you. Your life carries a combination that cannot be copied from another testimony. Your wounds are specific. Your obedience is specific. Your assignment is specific. Your miracle must also carry a specific signature. This is why comparison must die. It cannot travel with you into the impossible. Comparison makes you misread God. It asks why your sea did not open like someone else. It asks why your giant lasted longer. It asks why your promise took more time. But heaven is not building a duplicate. Heaven is building a witness. Your timeline is not proof that you are less chosen. Your process is not proof that you are behind. Your scars are not proof that you are disqualified. They may be proof of the territory you carry. Chosen one, territory is not given casually. Spiritual weight requires formation. If your life is meant to shift atmospheres, then God must teach you how to remain steady when atmospheres shift against you. If your voice is meant to carry power, silence must first purify it. That is why some battles were permitted. Not to destroy you, to reveal what needed healing, strengthening, and surrender. A vessel that carries fire must be refined by fire. A vessel that carries authority must be freed from the need to be liked by everyone. This is why the rejection served you. It broke people-pleasing. This is why the silence served you. It broke addiction to constant confirmation. This is why the delay served you. It broke the belief that quick answers are the only proof of divine love. Now your faith is deeper. It is not as loud as before, but it is deeper. It does not need as many signs to remain alive. It can sit in mystery longer. It can recognize God in quiet rooms. It can say, I do not see everything, but I know who holds me. That faith is rare. Heaven can work with that. Heaven can trust that more than emotional excitement that disappears when pressure rises. You may have lost the old thrill, but you gained weight. You gained endurance. You gained a steadier yes. And the impossible responds to steady agreement. It does not need panic. It does not need performance. It does not need desperate striving. It needs a vessel willing to stand where God placed them and obey the next instruction without demanding the entire map. Moses stretched the staff. David picked up stones. Sarah received the promise. Martha moved the stone. Each had a next act of agreement. None of them controlled the miracle. They simply participated at the point where obedience met divine power. That is where you are. You cannot control the impossible. You cannot manufacture it. You cannot manipulate heaven into moving faster. But you can agree. You can position your heart. You can release bitterness. You can obey the instruction that looks too simple to matter. Do not despise simple obedience. Simple obedience can unlock impossible movement. A lifted staff, a small stone, a yes in old age. A stone rolled away. None of these looked impressive by themselves, but each one became a point of contact with divine authority. Your next obedience may look small too. It may be silence. It may be forgiveness. It may be a boundary. It may be prayer. It may be refusing to return to an old cycle. It may be preparing quietly for a door that has not opened yet. Prepare anyway. Preparation is faith with structure. It tells heaven, I believe you enough to make room. It tells fear, you are not my leader. It tells delay, you are not my identity. It tells the promise, I am not asleep anymore. This matters because the impossible does not only require arrival, it requires stewardship. Many people pray for open doors, but they do not prepare for the responsibility behind the door. God has been preparing you because what comes next must be carried with clean hands. Clean hands do not mean flawless hands. They mean surrendered hands, hands that release revenge, hands that stop clinging to what God removed, hands that refuse counterfeit comfort, hands that can receive without turning the blessing into an idol. That is why the biblical pattern keeps returning to surrender. Moses had to surrender fear. David had to surrender the need for approval. Sarah had to surrender the limits of natural timing. Martha had to surrender the finality of the tomb. You are surrendering the old story. The old story said, I am the delayed one. The old story said, I am always almost blessed. The old story said, I am chosen only for battles. The old story said, I must earn love by carrying more than I can hold. That story is breaking. A new story is being written. It says, I am prepared. It says, I am seen. It says, I am not late. It says, God can do what no system can authorize. It says, My life is becoming evidence that heaven still breaks patterns. Let this enter your bones. You are not the exception because you are superior. You are the exception because your assignment requires a demonstration that cannot be explained by normal process. God is not flattering you. He is calling you into responsibility. Responsibility means you cannot carry the old fear forward. You cannot keep asking Pharaoh for permission after God opens the sea. You cannot wear Saul armor when God trained your hand differently. You cannot call the womb dead when God calls it promise. You cannot worship the stone. You must agree with heaven over every natural contradiction, not blindly, not foolishly, not with fake positivity, but with grounded spiritual sight that says, I see the facts, but I do not worship them. I hear the report. But God has the final word. That is the law of impossible breakthrough. Facts speak, but God reigns. Time passes, but God remembers. Doors close, but God commands. Stones seal, but God calls. Giants threaten, but God reveals kings. Seas block, but God makes roads under the feet of obedience. This law is working in your life now. You may not see the full manifestation yet, but the pattern is active. Pressure is exposing what must leave. Delay is purifying what must stay. Opposition is revealing what you carry. Silence is training your hearing, and your hearing is becoming important. Because when the impossible begins to move, you must be able to tell the difference between divine instruction and emotional impulse. You must know when to speak and when to stay quiet. You must know when to move and when to wait. Discernment is part of the miracle. Without discernment, an open door can still be misused. Without discernment, a returned person can look like restoration when they are really a test. Without discernment, a fast opportunity can look like favor while pulling you out of alignment. This is why the last season felt like your senses were being sharpened. You began noticing what drained you. You began feeling unease around certain voices. You began losing appetite for environments that once felt normal. That was not random. That was training. Heaven was teaching you to read atmosphere. Heaven was teaching you to recognize peace. Heaven was teaching you not to confuse emotional familiarity with divine safety. This is mature territory. It is not always dramatic, but it is deeply powerful. And when clarity begins returning, everything changes. A chosen one with clarity stops asking confusion for permission. They stop negotiating with patterns God already exposed. They stop handing sacred access to people who only know how to consume. They begin to steward the impossible. This is where the science and the spirit quietly touch. When a person lives under pressure for too long, their inner clarity can become buried beneath noise, stress, and survival. The spirit may still be willing, but the mind feels fogged and the body stays guarded. That is why restoration often includes both prayer and renewal of inner capacity. You are not only a spirit floating above life, you are a vessel with a mind, a body, a nervous system, and a calling. God can restore every layer. When clarity is restored, you notice instructions faster. You recognize peace sooner. You make decisions without dragging chains of old fear through every option. You stop calling confusion humility. You stop calling exhaustion obedience. You begin to move with steadiness again. This is not about replacing faith. It is about removing fog from the place where faith must act. A tired mind can still love God, but it may struggle to hear the next step clearly. A wounded nervous system can still believe, but it may flinch at favor. That is why the impossible is not only outside you. Something inside you is being reactivated. Focus is returning. Discernment is returning. The quiet knowing is returning. The part of you that used to sense timing, truth, and divine movement is waking from underneath survival. You remember that part. You had it before life became so heavy. As a child, you sensed things before people explained them. You knew when a room felt wrong. You felt deeply. You learned quickly. You carried a strange awareness that adults did not always understand. Then pressure came, systems came, rejection came, survival came. You learned to silence what made others uncomfortable. You learned to call sensitivity weakness. You learned to push through until your inner signal became quieter. But God did not give you that signal by accident. The chosen often carry heightened discernment before they have language for it. The world calls it too much. Heaven calls it assignment. The world calls it sensitivity. Heaven calls it perception. The world calls it strange. Heaven calls it a tool for territory. That tool is being restored. This is why your dreams have changed. This is why memories have risen. This is why certain names feel heavy. This is why your body reacts before your mind understands. You are not becoming unstable. You are becoming aware again. But awareness must be anchored in God. Otherwise it becomes fear. This is why the biblical pattern matters. Moses needed instruction. David needed covenant. Sarah needed promise. Martha needed the voice of Jesus. Awareness without God becomes noise, but awareness under God becomes discernment. Your discernment will be needed for the impossible. Because when the shift begins, not everyone who comes near you will be assigned to your future. Some will be curious, some will be opportunistic, some will be drawn to the evidence without honoring the process that produced it. Do not be afraid of that. Just be clear. The same God who opens the sea can guard the crossing. The same God who reveals the king can protect the oil. The same God who resurrects what was buried can teach you how to steward it. This is why part of you has become quieter. You are not meant to announce everything. You are not meant to explain every movement. You are not meant to convince every skeptic. Some things must grow without applause, because premature exposure can invite unnecessary warfare. Mary pondered things in her heart. Joseph carried dreams through misunderstanding. Esther moved with timing. Nehemiah surveyed the wall before announcing the work. There is a holy wisdom in quiet preparation, and God has been teaching you that wisdom through restraint. Restraint is not weakness. It is governed power. It is the ability to have a reaction and choose obedience instead. It is the ability to know more than you say. It is the ability to move when God says move, not when provocation demands attention. You have been learning restraint. That is why certain accusations did not get the response they expected. That is why certain people could not pull the old version out of you. That is why the enemy had to change tactics, because the old bait stopped working. That is evidence of growth. Celebrate it quietly. You are not the same. You may still feel tender, but tenderness is not failure. You may still feel afraid at moments, but fear is no longer your ruler. You may still cry, but tears no longer mean surrender. You are crossing from reaction into authority. This is the inner Red Sea. This is the inner Goliath. This is the inner barren place. This is the inner tomb. God is not only confronting what is around you, He is confronting what fear built inside you. And once that inner place shifts, the outer place must answer. That is why this message is building layer by layer. First you felt the pressure, then you saw the reframe. Now you see the pattern. Next you must see the reason heaven chose you as the place of demonstration. Because this is the deeper truth. God does not do the impossible only to impress people. He does it to reveal Himself, to free His people, to expose false powers, and to mark a vessel with a testimony that cannot be stolen by human explanation. Your testimony is becoming difficult to steal. People may still try to explain it. They may call it luck. They may call it timing. They may call it coincidence. But deep down, even they will know something about your life, moved beyond ordinary permission. That is the kind of evidence God is preparing. Evidence that reaches beyond your words. Evidence that answers the prayers you stopped knowing how to pray. Evidence that brings quiet vindication without needing you to defend yourself in every room. Vindication is coming, but not in the petty way the ego wants it. It is not about humiliating people. It is about clarifying truth. It is about God showing that He was with you when others misread you. It is about your story no longer looking like wasted pain. That is why your heart must stay clean. If you carry revenge into vindication, you will reduce holy evidence into personal pride. If you carry bitterness into breakthrough, you will poison the very thing you prayed for. God is giving you power, but He is also requiring purity. Purity does not mean you were never hurt. It means hurt is no longer your master. Purity does not mean you never felt anger. It means anger does not sit on the throne. Purity does not mean you forgot everything. It means God now interprets it. Let God interpret it. Let Him name the season. Let Him explain the delay. Let Him show you what had to leave and what had to remain. Let Him teach you how to receive without fear, move without panic, and speak without proving. This is why the biblical witnesses matter. They are not decorations in a message. They are mirrors. Moses mirrors your crossing. David mirrors your hidden preparation. Sarah mirrors your delayed promise. Lazarus mirrors what looked dead but was still under divine authority. If God did it then, He can move now. But this time, He is not copying the old scene. He is carrying the same authority into your specific life, your specific wound, your specific assignment, your specific impossible place. Heaven knows exactly where to apply resurrection. So stop calling your impossible place proof against the promise. It may be the container of the promise. Stop calling your closed sea the end of the road. It may be the place where God teaches your feet to walk through what should have drowned you. Stop calling the giant too large. It may be the announcement of your authority. Stop calling the womb too late. It may be the place where God reveals that time cannot veto Him. Stop calling the tomb final. It may be waiting for a voice. And chosen one, stop calling yourself too damaged. You are not too damaged for God to use. You are not too delayed for God to remember. You are not too tired for God to restore. You are not too hidden for God to reveal. You are not too far for the impossible. The pattern is complete enough for you to trust the next step. Pressure does not mean abandonment. Delay does not mean denial. Opposition does not mean disqualification. Silence does not mean absence. Impossible does not mean finished. In the kingdom, impossible often means selected. You have been selected for a kind of demonstration you would not have chosen by yourself. That is why it felt heavy. That is why it felt costly. That is why it felt lonely. But the same God who selected the place will supply the power. Now, prepare your spirit for the next layer, because the miracle is not the deepest part. The deepest part is why it had to be you, why your name was connected to this moment, why your life became the place where heaven decided the old pattern would not be enough. Stay close. The next part will reveal the hidden blocker, the identity shift, and the truth the enemy fought hardest to keep from you. You are not just watching God do the impossible from a distance. You are much closer to the miracle than you think. Chosen one. Now we arrive at the part the enemy fought hardest to keep from you. The miracle is not the deepest revelation. The open door is not the deepest revelation. The sudden answer is not the deepest revelation. The deepest revelation is why it had to be you. You have been asking God to do the impossible for you, but heaven has been preparing to do the impossible through you. That difference changes everything. One makes you only a receiver. The other reveals you as a vessel, a witness, and a living sign. This is why the pressure felt personal. This is why the delay felt unusual. This is why ordinary advice never fit your situation. People could tell you to move on, calm down, let it go, or be realistic, but they did not understand the weight God placed on your life. You were not only waiting for God to change your circumstance. God was waiting for you to stop seeing yourself as the person buried under the circumstance. He needed you to recognize that you are not standing outside the miracle. You are the place where the miracle is landing. Let that settle. You are not watching God do the impossible from a distance. You are not standing in the crowd, hoping to see something holy happen to someone else. You are the location. You are the witness. You are the reason heaven is breaking precedent. That does not mean you are above correction. It does not mean you are better than anyone. It does not mean the glory belongs to you. It means God selected your life as the evidence, because the story attached to your name could not be answered by a normal blessing. A normal blessing would not explain the nights. A normal door would not answer the warfare. A normal opportunity would not heal the years of being misread. A normal restoration would not silence the lie that your obedience was wasted. This required something heavier. That is why heaven had to move differently. Your wound was not ordinary. Your assignment was not ordinary. Your survival was not ordinary. Your restraint was not ordinary. The way you kept light inside you while walking through darkness was not ordinary. So the answer could not be ordinary either. You are the living exception. Hear that without fear. You are the one God preserved when other people expected you to disappear. You are the one who kept breathing after seasons designed to crush your spirit. You are the one who still carries softness after betrayal. That softness is part of the reason. The world calls it weakness. Heaven calls it proof. Anyone can become hard after pain. Anyone can become cruel after betrayal. Anyone can shut down after disappointment. But you stayed reachable to God, even when people made it dangerous to feel. Heaven saw that. Heaven saw you choose silence when revenge would have felt easier. Heaven saw you keep your hands clean when others expected you to strike back. Heaven saw you cry behind closed doors and still refuse to curse the promise. That mattered. Now the case is speaking. Every hidden yes has become evidence. Every private tear has become testimony. Every delayed answer has been gathering weight. You thought nothing was happening, but heaven was stacking proof. Now, the proof is turning into movement. This is why the old pattern cannot hold. God is not about to place new wine into an old agreement. He is not about to pour a historic answer into the identity of someone who still thinks they are barely tolerated by heaven. He is changing the container. The hidden blocker was not that God lacked power. The hidden blocker was not that the enemy was stronger. The hidden blocker was not that time had outrun your promise. The hidden blocker was the old agreement inside you that kept preparing for loss even while praying for life. That agreement has been breaking. It broke when you stopped chasing people who fed your wound. It broke when you stopped apologizing for needing peace. It broke when you stopped letting guilt drag you back into rooms where your spirit could not breathe. It broke when you finally admitted that survival cannot be the whole story. It broke when you stopped calling crumbs provision. It broke when you realized that being chosen does not mean being endlessly drained. It broke when you allowed God to be kinder than your past. Now heaven is asking you to receive differently, not as someone who expects the blessing to leave, not as someone who flinches when favor approaches, not as someone who is waiting for punishment after every good thing. Receive as one who has been prepared. You have been prepared by hidden tears. You have been prepared by closed doors. You have been prepared by silence. You have been prepared by correction. You have been prepared by the kind of loneliness that forces a person to hear God without the noise of approval. That preparation was not beautiful while it was happening. It was heavy. It was confusing. It often felt unfair. But chosen one, the weight you carried taught you how to stand. The delay taught you how to wait without worshipping the waiting. The loss taught you what cannot own you anymore. Now your identity is being lifted. You are not the delayed one. You are the prepared one. You are not the rejected one. You are the preserved one. You are not the forgotten one. You are the hidden one being revealed at the exact hour. This is the moment where the enemy loses a major weapon. It can no longer use your past to explain your future. It can no longer use delay to convince you God changed his mind. It can no longer use exhaustion to make you call yourself unworthy. You are worthy because God made you worthy. You are chosen because God chose you. You are not standing here because people approved you. You are standing here because heaven kept a record that no human opinion can erase. Your name is not lost in the spirit. And this is why the impossible is moving. It is not moving because you finally performed strength perfectly. It is moving because God is faithful to His word. It is moving because your obedience reached a fullness. It is moving because the appointed time has begun pressing against the visible world. But listen carefully. When the impossible begins to move, clarity becomes critical. A fogged mind can misread favor. A wounded heart can reject restoration because it feels unfamiliar. A tired spirit can confuse a divine door with danger simply because disappointment trained it to expect pain. This is why I mentioned earlier that there is a tool I would only explain when the moment was right, not because a tool replaces God. Nothing replaces God. But when your calling requires clarity, discernment, and inner steadiness, it matters what supports your mind while your spirit steps forward. There are chosen ones who are not lazy. They are not faithless. They are not broken beyond repair. Their inner signal has simply been buried under years of stress, pressure, rejection, survival, and noise. They still love God, but their clarity feels covered. This is why the Genius song matters for this message. It is a simple 7-minute digital audio track designed around brain entrainment, with the intention of supporting the gamma brainwave state. The state often connected with focus, intuition, flow, and sudden moments of inner knowing. Think of it as a support for the part of you that pressure tried to shut down. You use headphones, you sit still, you listen for 7 minutes. You do not need to force meditation. You do not need to repeat a mantra. You do not need to perform spirituality. The reason this connects to chosen ones is simple. Many chosen ones remember being different early in life. They learned quickly. They sensed things deeply. They noticed the mood of a room before anyone spoke. They carried a strange awareness, but the world trained them to silence it. Over time, pressure can bury that awareness. Survival can make the mind noisy. Rejection can make the body guarded. Disappointment can make the spirit cautious. And when clarity becomes buried, even a divine opening can feel confusing instead of peaceful. Dr. Robert Lake, a neuroscientist with 34 years of experience, created the Genius song around this principle. Research from places like Massachusetts Institute of Technology, Princeton, Harvard, and other leading research universities has explored how brainwave states connect with cognition, attention, and perception. This is not about replacing prayer. It is about supporting the vessel that must respond to prayer. A chosen one can love God and still need their mind renewed. A chosen one can have faith and still need fog lifted. Restoration can touch spirit, mind, and body. More than 18,366 people have used it. And what matters is not just the number. What matters is that less than 4% requested a refund, which means the vast majority continued with it after the guarantee window. One woman, a teacher in Texas, felt like her mind had been running at a fraction of its true strength for years. She had spent her life helping others grow, while her own ideas felt buried. After several weeks of listening, her decisions became clearer. She did not describe it as a loud miracle. She described it as her mind becoming available again. Ideas returned. A decision she had delayed for a long time became clear in one morning. That is the kind of quiet restoration many chosen ones understand. Another man had been out of work for nearly 2 years. He was not without skill. He was not without experience. But in interviews, his words felt trapped behind fog. After using the Genius song for days, he described the change as clarity, returning where pressure had stolen sharpness. Do not hear those stories as pressure. Hear them as confirmation. Some people notice shifts quickly. Some notice them slowly. The goal is not to chase drama. The goal is to support the reawakening of the clarity God gave you before pressure taught you to doubt it. Now let me explain the offer clearly, without turning this sacred moment into a sales performance. Many people spend around $15 every month on meditation apps. Others spend $100 to $200 on online growth courses. Some spend $400 to $800 on retreats. Some even look into therapy sessions around $150 or professional brain training options that cost much more. Many of those can have value, but most do not specifically aim at gamma activation in this simple 7-minute format. Dr. Lake originally made the Genius Song available for $49. For viewers connected to this message, it is available for $39 as a one-time access. No monthly subscription, no shipping fee. It is digital, so it is delivered directly by email. You also receive 4 bonuses. Genius Child, valued at $19. A classic book, valued at $20. A guided visualization, valued at $29. A 5-habit infographic, valued at $12. Together, the bonuses alone carry $80 in value. So the full access is not only the 7-minute audio, it includes the core track, the 4 bonuses, and the protection that comes with the guarantee. The price is $39, while the bonus value alone is $80. And the guarantee is important. You have 90 days to try it. If it does not feel right for you, you can request your money back. No complicated return is needed because it is digital. And even if you request a refund, you still keep all 4 bonuses. That matters because this should not feel like pressure. This should feel like a protected step. The worst case is not loss. The worst case is that you learn it was not your tool, and you still keep the bonus materials as a thank you for the time you gave it. There is also a warning you need to hear. Do not search for it randomly on Amazon, YouTube, Spotify, or other sites. There are pages and copies that use similar names, but they do not carry the original brain entrainment, structure, bonuses, or guarantee. The official access connected to this message is in the description and the pinned comment. That is the path meant to protect you from counterfeits. If your spirit recognizes this as support for the next part of your journey, use the official link connected to this video. Now pause for a moment. Take one slow breath. Place your hand near your heart if you can. Do not make this decision from panic. Do not make it from pressure. Ask yourself quietly, am I ready to stop living under the fog that pressure placed over me? If your answer is yes, your next step will feel simple. Go to the description or the pinned comment after this message and follow the official access for the Genius Song. Then return with a steadier spirit, because this revelation is not finished. Now come back to the word God is speaking over your life. The tool is not the center. God is the center. The tool is only a support for the vessel. The impossible is still about heaven breaking precedent through you, not about chasing a product. This is where many people misunderstand blessing. They think the blessing is only what arrives. But the deeper blessing is the restored ability to recognize what arrives. You can be standing in front of an open door and still miss it if fear trained you to look away. That is why God has been restoring your sight. He is restoring your expectation. He is restoring your ability to trust peace. He is restoring your ability to receive without suspicion. He is restoring the part of you that once knew something was holy before anyone explained it. Chosen one, the impossible is not coming to entertain you. It is coming to align you. It is coming to place you where old shame can no longer speak louder than God. It is coming to reveal that the years were not wasted, even when they were painful. You are the reason this had to be different. Not because you forced heaven, not because you earned control, but because your life carries a specific assignment that could not be answered by an ordinary pattern. Your story needed a demonstration that matched the depth of your formation. People will understand later. Some will not apologize, but they will understand. Some will not say they were wrong, but they will see. Some will stay silent because the evidence will say what your mouth was never allowed to say. Let God handle that part. Do not use the miracle to prove your ego. Use it to honor God. Do not use the open door to shame people. Use it to steward purpose. Do not use the breakthrough as a weapon. Use it as testimony. The purity of your heart matters now. This is why the climax is also a warning. If you carry old bitterness into new favor, bitterness will try to sit on the throne of the blessing. If you carry fear into restoration, fear will tell you to sabotage what God sent. Guard your heart. The miracle must not become an idol. The testimony must not become pride. The vindication must not become revenge. The door must not become your God. God is doing the impossible, but He is still the treasure. The blessing is evidence. He is the source. Keep your eyes on Him. When the door opens, keep your eyes on Him. When the phone rings, keep your eyes on Him. When the provision arrives, keep your eyes on Him. When people notice, keep your eyes on Him. That is how you remain safe. This is the difference between receiving and being consumed. Some people are consumed by what they receive because their identity was never healed before the arrival. But you have been through the furnace. You have been stripped. You have been corrected. You have been made sober. Now you can carry what used to intimidate you. You can carry attention without needing worship. You can carry favor without becoming careless. You can carry restoration without returning to bondage. You can carry authority without losing tenderness. This is why heaven waited. The waiting made room for maturity. The rejection made room for discernment. The silence made room for hearing. The loss made room for true alignment. The wilderness made room for an identity that is not built on applause, speed, or human permission. Now heaven is saying, the vessel is ready for a measure that earlier seasons could not hold. This does not mean you know everything. It means your yes has weight. It means your heart has been refined. It means you are no longer worshipping the cage. So when the impossible begins to unfold, do not run back to familiar fear. Do not ask old pain to interpret new favor. Do not let people who doubted your process become managers of your next season. Forgive them, but do not hand them the steering wheel. You are allowed to move differently now. You are allowed to answer more slowly. You are allowed to protect your peace. You are allowed to wait for confirmation. You are allowed to say no without writing a long explanation for people who benefited from your lack of boundaries. That is part of the impossible too. A healed boundary is a miracle for someone who once called self-abandonment love. A clear no is a miracle for someone who once thought obedience meant pleasing everyone. A calm spirit is a miracle for someone who lived in alarm. Do you see how deep this goes? God is not only changing the outside, He is changing the inside that receives the outside. He is not only opening a door, He is making you into someone who will not crawl through an open door like a slave. You will walk. You will not beg. You will not apologize for favor. You will not shrink to make others comfortable. You will not perform humility by denying what God has done. True humility tells the truth, and the truth is that God preserved you for this. Say that inside yourself. God preserved me for this, not for survival alone, not for endless waiting, not for secret tears without harvest. God preserved me for this turning, this revealing, this holy correction of history, this impossible movement carrying my name. Your name is involved. That is the part the enemy wanted hidden. It wanted you to believe you were watching other people receive. It wanted you to believe you were near the promise, but never inside it. It wanted you to think the story always stops before you enter. But God has placed your name inside this moment. The impossible is not floating in the air. It is being assigned. It is moving toward a person, a house, a bloodline, a purpose, a wound, and a promise. And chosen one, heaven knows how to find you. No address is too hidden. No season is too dark. No enemy can hide you from the God who called you before people knew what to do with your light. He knows where you are. He knows what you need. He knows the timing of your next instruction. This is why your spirit has been restless. It is not because you are failing. It is because you are nearing transition. The old room no longer fits. The old agreement no longer holds. The old fear no longer has the same authority. The old ceiling is cracking. Let it crack. Do not repair what God is breaking. Do not rebuild what heaven is removing. Do not run back to the familiar just because the new feels vast. The wilderness can become comfortable when someone has been there long enough, but comfort is not covenant. You were not born to live forever in the wilderness. You learned there, you were refined there, you were stripped there, you met God there. But the wilderness was a classroom, not your final address. The impossible is part of your exit. And when you exit, you must not carry the mentality of the place that trained you. You can honor the lesson without living under the limitation. You can remember the pain without letting it name you. You can bless the process without marrying the delay. You are crossing into evidence, evidence that God sees, evidence that hidden obedience matters, evidence that delay is not denial, evidence that what people bury, God can call forth, evidence that the chosen are not chosen for suffering only, but for demonstration. This is the revelation. God has never done this in history, until you, because your life required a form of answer that could not be borrowed from another testimony. Your obedience had a different sound. Your wound had a different depth. Your assignment has a different reach. Now the next part will seal what has been revealed. Revelation without agreement can fade into emotion. Agreement gives it a place to land. You will need to speak differently, pray differently, stand differently, and refuse to hand your future back to the voice of fear. Do not leave yet. The final part is where this becomes a seal. The miracle has been named. The pattern has been shown. The reason has been revealed. Now your spirit must agree with heaven, and your mouth must stop repeating the language of the old season. Chosen one. Now let the revelation become agreement. Do not rush away from this moment. Do not treat what you just heard like a passing emotion. Heaven has opened language around your season, and now your spirit must decide whether it will agree with God or return to the old fear. The impossible has been named. The pattern has been shown. The reason has been revealed. God is not only doing something around you, He is doing something through you, and your life is becoming evidence that delay was not denial. So breathe slowly. Let your body hear what your spirit has been trying to say. The old season is losing authority. The old story is losing power. The old expectation of disappointment is being broken, and you are not required to keep rehearsing pain as if it is prophecy. You are allowed to expect goodness. You are allowed to expect restoration. You are allowed to expect clarity. You are allowed to expect God to move in a way that surprises you. This does not make you proud. It means you are no longer worshipping disappointment. For too long, you prepared for loss before anything even arrived. You guarded yourself against joy. You looked at every door with suspicion. You wondered what hidden pain would follow the blessing. But that old pattern cannot come with you into this next season. God is healing your ability to receive. That is not small. A person can be surrounded by favor and still push it away if fear has trained the heart to distrust peace. But heaven is teaching you that peace can be real and goodness can stay. You do not have to flinch every time something begins to work. You do not have to shrink every time someone honors you. You do not have to apologize when a door opens. You do not have to explain why God chose to remember your name now. Let people wonder. Let people question. Let people sit with the evidence. You do not need to turn your testimony into an argument. A tree does not argue that it has fruit. It simply bears what the root was carrying in secret. That is what you are becoming. Fruit after roots. Evidence after waiting. Sound after silence. Movement after stillness. God has been building below the surface for so long that when the surface changes, it will look sudden to people who never saw the hidden work. Do not resent them for not seeing it. They could not measure what God was doing in the dark. They could not weigh your private obedience. They could not hear the prayers you whispered through tears. They saw the delay, but heaven saw the depth. Now depth is turning into harvest. Not a shallow harvest. Not a fragile harvest. Not a harvest that disappears when pressure touches it. This is the kind of harvest that carries formation inside it, because it grew in soil watered by endurance. You must steward it well. That means you cannot let old bitterness become your advisor. You cannot let fear become your prophet. You cannot let revenge become your celebration. The miracle is too holy to be reduced into proof that you were right and they were wrong. God will handle the proving. You handle the purity. God will handle the timing. You handle the posture. God will handle the door. You handle the obedience. God will handle the ones who misread you. You handle the assignment with clean hands. Clean hands do not mean you never hurt. Clean hands mean your hurt is no longer driving the vehicle. Clean hands mean you refuse to use the blessing as a weapon. Clean hands mean you can be restored without needing someone else to be destroyed. That is the maturity heaven waited for. Earlier versions of you may have wanted vindication more than purpose. Earlier versions may have wanted applause more than alignment. Earlier versions may have wanted the miracle to silence people. Now your heart wants God to be glorified. That shift is evidence. Heaven trusts surrendered hearts. Heaven can place weight on people who no longer need every room to recognize them. Heaven can open unusual doors for those who have learned to keep their spirit quiet, clean, and anchored. So when the door begins to open, do not run ahead of God. Move with Him. Do not take the first sound as full instruction. Listen, watch, pray, discern. The impossible will not require panic. The voice of God does not need to scream to guide you. You have learned the cost of rushing. You have learned the danger of letting pressure choose for you. You have learned that not every urgent thing is divine. In this next season, peace will be one of your greatest confirmations, because God is not authoring confusion. If it pulls you back into bondage, pause. If it requires you to betray your healing, pause. If it flatters your ego but disturbs your spirit, pause. If it demands a quick yes without room for prayer, pause. Discernment is protection. You are not required to answer every knock. Some doors are tests. Some messages are distractions. Some apologies are not repentance. Some invitations are bait. But the door God opens will carry peace, weight, and alignment, even if it stretches you beyond comfort. Do not confuse stretching with warning. Sometimes God stretches you because the old capacity is too small. Sometimes fear calls every new thing dangerous because it only trusts familiar pain. Ask the Holy Spirit to show you the difference between growth and danger. You will know, not all at once, but enough for the next step. That is how God often leads chosen ones. He gives enough light for obedience, not enough light for control. Enough clarity to move, not enough certainty to worship the map. This is why you must stay close to Him. The blessing cannot become louder than the blesser. The answer cannot become louder than the voice. The door cannot become louder than the one who opened it. Keep your ear near heaven when the scenery changes, because it will change. Something about your scenery is preparing to shift. An old limitation is losing its grip. A conversation is changing direction. A heart is being moved. A decision is being rearranged. An opportunity is being prepared where your name was not expected. Do not chase it. Let God bring what belongs to you. The next season will not reward frantic striving. It will reward alignment. It will reward clean obedience. It will reward the quiet strength of a person who knows that what God assigns cannot be stolen by delay. Your part is to remain ready, make room, clear the clutter, end agreements that keep you small. Stop feeding the story that you are always the one left outside. Stop speaking like the grave has final authority over things God still intends to call forth. Speak life again, not fake life, not denial. Speak life from the place that knows God has already met you in fire. Speak as one who has survived enough to know that death does not get the final sentence when heaven is still speaking. Now place your hand near your heart if you can. Take a slow breath. Let this moment slow down around you. You are not performing for anyone. You are not trying to sound spiritual. You are simply bringing your agreement into the presence of God. Say this in your spirit. I release the old fear. I release the old expectation of loss. I release the belief that delay means denial. I release the hidden shame that made me feel unworthy of the impossible. Say this slowly. I receive the timing of God. I receive the clarity of God. I receive the peace of God. I receive the restoration that does not need human permission. I receive the courage to walk through the door without shrinking. Let those words settle. Do not rush them. Some places inside you have not heard receiving language in a long time. They have heard survival. They have heard caution. They have heard disappointment. But now they need to hear agreement with heaven. Say this: I am not forgotten. I am not rejected. I am not too late. I am not too damaged. I am not outside the reach of God. I am not the old wound. I am not the old label. I am not the old delay. You are not the old delay. You are the prepared one. You are the preserved one. You are the living exception. You are the one heaven kept when pressure tried to erase the promise. You are the one God is using as evidence. Now speak this with authority. God is doing the impossible through my life. God is breaking old patterns through my obedience. God is restoring what pressure tried to bury. God is opening what no human hand could open. God is making my story a witness. Do not say it as performance. Say it as agreement. Your words are not magic. Your words are alignment. They are the sound of your heart, refusing to partner with the old lie. They are the sound of your spirit, choosing the report of heaven. Now listen. In the coming days, watch your language. Do not bless the old fear with constant speech. Do not keep saying, nothing ever changes. Do not keep saying, it is always too late for you. Do not keep rehearsing what God is breaking. When you feel tempted to speak defeat, pause. Let your mouth come under the authority of the promise. Say, God is still working. Say, I am being prepared. Say, the door will open at the appointed time. Say, I will not curse my harvest. This will matter more than you think. Many chosen ones lose strength because they keep repeating the language of the wilderness after heaven has already begun leading them out. Your words must cross over before your feet understand the new ground. So speak like someone leaving. Pray like someone leaving. Rest like someone leaving. Prepare like someone leaving. Not leaving God. Leaving the cage. Leaving the false identity. Leaving the room where disappointment taught you to expect less than what heaven promised. The cage may feel familiar, but familiarity is not freedom. The old room may feel predictable, but predictable pain is still pain. You were not preserved to decorate the prison. You were preserved to walk out with testimony in your mouth and fire in your bones. Do not go back mentally. When the old thoughts come, do not host them. When the old fear knocks, do not give it a chair. When the old shame whispers, do not treat it like truth. You have new language now, and language creates inner posture. Your posture must match the door. If God is opening a door of authority, you cannot crawl into it with a slave mindset. If God is opening a door of restoration, you cannot enter while apologizing for being healed. If God is opening favor, receive it with humility and courage. Humility does not mean denying what God did. Humility means knowing who did it. Courage does not mean you never tremble. Courage means you keep walking while your body learns the safety of obedience. This is the way chosen ones cross into new seasons. And yes, some people may not understand. Let them not understand. Some may call you different. You are different. Some may call you too serious. Let them. Some may say you changed. Thank God you changed. You were not healed to remain easy to misuse. That is a word for someone. You were not healed to remain easy to misuse. You were not restored to return to the same emotional slavery. You were not given clarity to ignore it. You were not given peace so others could keep renting space in your spirit. Guard your peace. Guard your assignment. Guard your yes. Guard the softness that God preserved in you. Do not confuse openness with access. You can love people and still have boundaries. You can forgive people and still move forward without reopening the old door. Forgiveness releases the debt. It does not always restore the access. Some people were part of the lesson, not part of the next chapter. Bless them in your heart. Release them from your grip. Then keep walking with God, because the impossible requires your attention. You cannot stare backward and steward forward movement well. You cannot keep checking who is watching and still remain focused on the divine instruction. Let God decide who sees. Let God decide who hears. Let God decide who returns. Your eyes belong on the path. This next path may be quieter than you expect. It may not begin with applause. It may begin with one instruction, one conversation, one internal shift, one small door, one moment of courage. Do not despise the beginning, because it does not look dramatic. The seed does not look like the tree. The first step does not look like the destination. The first yes does not look like the finished testimony. But heaven knows how to grow holy things. Your job is to stay planted where God places you. Stay planted in truth. Stay planted in prayer. Stay planted in clarity. Stay planted in obedience. Stay planted even when old emotions try to pull you back into agreement with fear. The ground is changing, but your anchor must remain God. If you know this message is speaking to you, write these words where your spirit can see them. I am the living exception. Let that declaration become a line in the sand, not for attention, not for performance, for agreement. Comment those words if you can. I am the living exception. Let the comment become a public seal over what your spirit is receiving in private. Let it tell your own mind that you are no longer partnering with the old story. When you write it, do not write it casually. Write it as someone who knows heaven has been watching. Write it as someone who knows the delay did not erase the promise. Write it as someone who is ready to stop calling the impossible unrealistic. And if this message has carried weight in your spirit, share it with one chosen person who has been close to giving up. Not everyone will understand it. That is fine. Send it to the person whose heart still has a small flame under heavy ashes. This is how testimony multiplies. One word reaches one weary soul. One weary soul stands again. One standing soul becomes evidence. And before long, darkness realizes it failed to bury a whole line of people who were only waiting for language. Subscribe if this message confirmed what God has been showing you. Not for entertainment, not for noise. Subscribe because your spirit needs steady reminders in a world designed to make you forget who you are. Let this space be part of your remembrance. And if you feel called to take the support I mentioned earlier, the official access to the Genius song is in the description and in the pinned comment. Do not search for it elsewhere. Use the link connected to this message so you receive the original audio, bonuses, and guarantee. Again, do not move from panic, move from recognition. If your spirit says yes, follow the official access after this message. If not, keep the word and stay with God. The center is not a product. The center is your agreement with heaven. But for the one who knows clarity has been buried under pressure, take that step with peace. 7 minutes, headphones, stillness. Let it support the renewing of the part of you that needs to hear, discern, decide, and move without the old fog ruling you. Now return to the seal. The final word over you is not delay. The final word is not rejection. The final word is not confusion. The final word is not exhaustion. The final word belongs to God, and God is speaking life over what pressure tried to bury. I declare over you that your discernment is returning. I declare that your peace is returning. I declare that your courage is returning. I declare that your expectation is returning. I declare that the old fear will not interpret the new door. I declare that the people who were not assigned to your future will lose the power to pull you backward. I declare that false access is closing, clean access is opening, and your spirit is becoming steady enough to steward what God is releasing. I declare that your home will feel lighter, your sleep will be guarded, Your prayers will become clearer. Your decisions will carry peace. Your yes will become cleaner. Your no will become stronger. Your heart will not be ruled by the old wound. I declare that the impossible will not intimidate you. It will confirm you. The door will not make you panic. It will remind you. The blessing will not make you arrogant. It will make you grateful. The testimony will not make you cruel. It will make you faithful. Let every counterfeit door lose attraction. Let every false voice lose influence. Let every draining connection lose access. Let every old agreement with fear be broken. Let every hidden place in you hear the voice of God saying, "It is time to rise." You are not rising for vanity. You are rising for assignment. You are not rising to be worshipped. You are rising to bear witness. You are not rising because people finally understood you. You are rising because God never lost track of you. Remember this when the first sign appears. Stay humble, stay clean, stay prayerful, stay obedient. The beginning of movement can be exciting, but excitement must not replace discernment. Keep asking God what each step means. Keep your peace above the praise. Remember this when old fear returns. It may try to visit, but it does not live there anymore. It may knock, but it does not own the house. It may whisper, but it no longer has the authority to write the story. You belong to God. Remember this when people notice. Their attention is not your oxygen. Their approval is not your source. Their surprise is not your reward. God is your source. The testimony is His. The glory is His. The assignment is His. You are safe when you remember that. Now, take another slow breath. Feel the weight of the old story falling away. You do not have to carry it with both hands anymore. You can release what God has already judged finished. You can stop nursing what heaven is calling you to outgrow. Say this one more time. I agree with heaven. I agree with the promise. I agree with the process. I agree with the timing of God. I agree that delay is not denial. I agree that the impossible can know my name. Let that agreement follow you after this message ends. Let it meet you when you wash your hands. Let it meet you when you lie down tonight. Let it meet you when you wake before morning. Let it meet you when the enemy tries to replay the old tape. You have a new sound now. You have a new anchor. You have a new sentence for the season. I am the living exception, not because I made myself special, but because God preserved me for a demonstration only He could author. Write it, speak it, pray it, live from it. When fear says nothing will change, answer with it. When delay says you are forgotten, answer with it. When shame says you are unworthy, answer with it. I am the living exception, chosen one. God has never done this in history, until you, because this version of your testimony required a new expression of His faithfulness. You are not the source of the glory, but you are becoming the place where the glory is seen. So go forward slowly, but do go forward. Go forward clean, go forward alert, go forward prayerful, go forward with your hands open and your heart guarded by God. Go forward without dragging the old cage behind you like it still has a right to name you. The impossible has started moving. Heaven has not forgotten your address. God knows how to find what He planted. He knows how to call forth what looked buried. He knows how to open what no one else can open. He knows how to finish what He began. Receive the blessing of this word. May your spirit be steady. May your mind be clear. May your heart be healed. May your next step be guided. May your testimony carry peace. May the impossible arrive in a way that leaves no room for confusion. And when it begins, do not forget who held you before anyone saw the result. Do not forget the secret place. Do not forget the hand of God in the hidden season. Do not forget that the same grace that kept you low will keep you lifted. You are chosen. You are preserved. You are prepared. You are the living exception. God is doing the impossible, and your life is becoming evidence. Now seal it with your agreement.